Special advertisement for iPhone 15s right here. Increased recording quality. Well, welcome everyone to Gameflix and Chill. I am Nick. This is Dante. We are here to talk about anything we want to talk about: gaming, movies, TV shows, you name it. We're going to talk about it here on Gameflix and Chill. We had some technical issues, so Dante's on his iPhone today, and I think this is going to end up being our permanent solution. And then you could use your laptop to like look shit up if you wanted to then, or write shit down. So I think it'll work pretty well. Yeah. Um if you missed last week's episode, we talked about it a little bit. Uh Last week's episode was our anime special where Dante name gave me the name of an anime and I had to um describe what I think that anime is about. And I think that was a huge success. So now I'm going to explain to him. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong scene. Now I'm going to explain to him pretty much the. We won't get into like every nitty gritty detail, but I'm going to explain to him the entirety of the Black Ops Call of Duty Zombies storyline. So this is just like Treyarch Games, and I guess now I have to add in MWZ because it's currently ongoing. But yeah. Why don't you go ahead and explain how much of the zombie storyline you already know? Okay. Okay. I think it's fair to say that you played like Black Ops 1 and 2 and a little bit of 3, but even when you and I played Black Ops 3 Zombies, we pretty much played the Giant a lot. And it's for me, it's kind of interesting because when Black Ops 3 first came out, I was like, dude, this is so trash. I'm just going to play Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3 and or Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 1. And, as the game got older and as the game progressed, dude, everything that they released in Black Ops 3 was just like a banger. Hell of an experience. And I think Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4 probably have, in terms of storytelling, the most to offer. Um, and even compared to like most recent titles, like the story is kind of gone downhill significantly. But it's one of my favorite franchises, one of my favorite like not Easter egg, iceberg style topics. So I guess we can just get into it. Um, I have reference here from Cronorium.com. So this is like an interactive book. So back in Black Ops 3's life cycle, they actually released this. Um, it was like this poster and it had like all the separate timelines that exist inside Black Ops Zombies all together. So like it explained everything. And somebody took the time and coded it into very nice interactive book. This is on cronorium.com for the audio listeners. If you want to check out the YouTube channel, that I do have some visual stuff coming up right now, but you absolutely do not need to. I'm sure my voice can explain it the best. So, without further ado, um, it's broken up into 4 chapters, and like I said, there's a lot that is kind of not really necessary to know, but the amount of care that they put into it later on definitely made like payoffs. So this kind of like explains everything from the start of World at War to Black Ops 4 up to Black Ops 4. So the chapters are in the beginning, Dimension 63, Agartha, and Fractures. So we'll start at in the beginning. In the beginning, there was only the Ether and the Keepers, and among them were 2 beings who would later be known by many names One would be known as Dr. Monty, and the other known as the Shadow Man. So if you didn't play Black Ops 3, those are like the two bad guys. Um, and on September 3rd, 5 AD, knowing the entire planet had a gateway to Agartha, the Apothicons sent meteors of element 115 to Earth, and they believed humanity would one day use this element to create a war amongst themselves and open a rift that would allow the Apothicons to come through. And on January 15th, the Great War between humanity and the Apothicons began. Um, on April 14th, 1294, Pablo Miranus is saved from the clutches of Amargua by the four unknown heroes. They would later become known as Primus. So, like, that is, like, the whole beginning of it. Like, it just started. It doesn't really have a whole lot of explanation. How do I just flip the page? There we go. And the Keepers and Primus defeated the Apothicons in the beginning at the Great War. One thing to know about zombies that it is just like one big loop. Like everything happens and then it like starts back over again. It's like just one big what's the word? Yeah, essentially Groundhog Day, but it's just like oh, I don't know. Like where your story begins at at the same place that it ends. Um and I guess before they disappeared, um our four main characters, which are Dempsey, Nikolai, Takio, and Richtofen. Those are like the four characters that we saw in like Black Ops 1 and World at War and shit. But these aren't quite them. They're different reality versions of those characters. They are known as Primus. The old characters are known as Ultimus. So like they're very different. You had the original cast from like World at War and Black Ops 1. They were pretty much like just stereotypical stereotypes of like their countries. So like Dempsey was from the United States or America, and he was a badass like Marine, just like oorah. And then Richtofen was a crazy German scientist. Uh, Nikolai was a drunk Russian, and Takeo was a Japanese man that pretty much only ever talked about the emperor and honor, and very big tropes. I'm sure you know those guys are Ultimus. Primus was like Jason Blundell kind of wanted to make these characters and give them more depth, so they started writing like better characters for existing characters. Kind of cool in my opinion. Um, and one of the dates on here, in this is kind of going through chronological order. One of the dates is January 1st, 1300, and before Primus seemingly disappeared from history, they instructed the Wolf King to begin building Der Eisendrache. So that's a map from Black Ops 3. Um, that's not really important. September 20th, 1318, temporal rifts teleport Arthur, who was the Wolf King, to Resolution 1295 in 2025 Angola. So Leroy from Black Ops 2 is buried. His real name is Arthur. Yeah, I know. Everybody says that. And that was the Wolf King, the guy that built. So Leroy was the guy that built he was the Wolf King that paid for Der Eisendrache's castle to be built. Kinda cool. I know. And booze. That happened before he turned into the big man we know as Leroy. On August 30th, 1925, Dr. Edward Richtofen joins the Illuminati. So, if you didn't know, Richtofen was a member of the Illuminati. They paid for a lot of his experimentations. This is also, once again, 2.0 character Richtofen joined the Illuminati. Oh wait, no, this is 1.0. I can't remember, dude. It's see, this is why this is problematic. I don't even know who we're talking about here. Um, in 1931, him and Rick Toffin created Group 935. So I think this is Ultimus. Um, and it was an organization. It was dedicated to study this element that the Apothicon sent here. But the one thing that is kind of interesting, it wasn't just Germany. It was like people from all around the world were like part of this organization. Uh, here's something funny. On November 5th, 1934, on 115, Samantha Maxis was born. So Sam's birthday is 115. Uh, Maxis, who this is Samantha's dad, invited Richtofen to join Group 935, and he only did so acting on behalf of like the Illuminati's interests. He kind of like did it in secret to like infiltrate the organization. Um, I'm gonna skip a bunch of this. Pretty much tells us that um they found element 115 meteor fragments in a swamp in Japan. So that is shit. Shinonuma. Duh. And on June 14th, 1937, the United States government discovers deposits of element 115 at Groom Lake, Nevada. So, Area 51, where we are right before Moon. Um, Maxis and Richtofen were basically trying to figure out a way to use the element to teleport. And then later found out that they could like resurrect people. So that's how like the zombies first came about in this universe. They started building Wonder Waffs, um, and at some point, have you ever played Blood of the Dead? Okay, so in Blood of the Dead, there's the lab that you spawn in. There's a walnut there on like a little teleporter pad. You can teleport it across the room. That's the first thing that Richtofen ever teleported. So that's why that Easter egg exists. Um, they tried to teleport a person, and he ended up actually getting teleported to the moon, and he encountered the pyramid, which is called the MPD. This one's funny. January 5th, 1940, Richtofen is worshipped by the natives of Shangri-La, and an altar is built in his name. And Richtofen encounters the focusing stone for the first time. So that's why there's just this big statue of Richtofen on Shangri-La. Uh, I hated Shangri-La, dude. They started building Griffin Station on the moon. This is in March 13th, 1940. Um, so Maxis was kind of banging this his assistant named Sophia, who is the computer in Gorog Crovey and Black Ops 3. A lot of this is them just like filling in gaps. Um, they created Kino and an asylum in 1940, August  1st. They sent out an order to have those facilities put together. They also established a research facility in Siberia, which ended up being Call the Dead, as well as a research facility at Der Eisendrucks. These are like all the maps that we're going through. They're like saying, hey, this is when they started On January 11th, 1942, Maxis gives Fluffy to Samantha. The dog is expecting a litter. So do you remember playing like Doris back in the day? You go under the steps and you click all the radios. It That's a whole story of like Maxis believing Richtofen was about to betray him, and at the end of all those radios, Samantha, I believe they accidentally teleported Samantha's dog, and that's how Hellhounds were born. So Fluffy got teleported and everything, but in the um Doris radios there was this it was like a recording of Samantha and Maxis getting teleported wherever the hell they went. Samantha got stuck in the MPD on the moon, and I think Maxis got stuck in like the crazy place where all the staffs are in Origins. This is just how far back this shit goes, dude. It's fucking insane. Um, go back, go further ahead. Uh, Richtofen completes Wonderwaffe DG2, and he was trying to use it for to like build weapons for Germany during the war. Um, Wunderbar. Wonder. um, Alt of This one is kind of weird. As a result of temporal rifts in 1963 Kino, Monty reaches across time and offers little nudges to developing Group 935's Element 115 infused elixirs. So literally, Monty saw that there was like this rift open between where he was and Kino der Toten, and he was just like, build perks. And they made perks. Yeah, when I read it back, it doesn't sound interesting. Yeah. So this is pretty much all Black Ops 1 in one map from Black Ops 3 so far. Um so because Group 935 was kind of this big um multiple government organization, kind of like the UN, um they I think Takio was ended up being dispatched to oversee Group 935 at Division 9, the Rising Sun facility. So at Shinonuma, or that might have misspoke. That one might be Zetsubu no Shima. I think it is Zetsubu. But oh, July 20th, 1942, Richtofen begins sending soldiers and scientists to the moon to be sacrificed in order to charge up the MPD to the pyramid that was on the moon. Um, they made Mule Kick because Richtofen shared their research with the Moon Griffin station. Um, Richtofen made the monkey bomb. What else? This is kind of like I said, a lot of this get is just like them explaining stuff. So I'm gonna just keep um skipping ahead until we get into the interesting stuff. Primus arrives from Dimension 63 in an effort to prevent events that are about to unfold. They formulate a plan to stop this dimension's Richtofen. So pretty much right here, like everything from Black Ops 1 was happening, and then boom. The characters from Black Ops 2's Origins and like Black Ops 3 and 4 came into this dimension to like fuck it all up. And there's kind of this concept of the house, which is where Monty is, and his goal. I'll just start getting more into the lore and less into like the background of stuff. Monty's goal is to create this universe where everything is perfect, right? There's no zombies, there's no evil, there's no apothecons, nothing. It's just him and the keepers. He's just trying to take everything else and just shove it into the dark ether. And in order to do so, he needs to keep Takio, Nikolai, Richtofen, and Dempsey inside the house. He needs to like harvest their souls and keep them inside the house to prevent them from breaking the universe. And so the entirety of Black Ops 1's story is them going to all of these our 1.0 universe and trying to kill their 1.0 counterparts. Richtofen kills Richtofen and harvests his soul. Then Dempsey kills Dempsey and harvests his soul in Derisendrach. And then Takio kills Takio and harvests his soul in Setsubo no Shima. Then you get to like what's the map? Gorod Krovi. Nikolai does the same thing. Harvests his own soul. Then they go to Revelations. So there's like this journey from origins to revelations. That is the cycle of premise, right? But it's happened so many times that for a reason we'll get into, it has happened so many times. It's a little bit different every time it happens, right? They go to Revelations and basically they give the souls over to Dr. Monty. But Richtofen wanted to keep this going, and he, like, as an insurance policy, he needed a way to stop Monty from just wiping him and everybody else from existence. So he ended up taking these blood vials from the characters that were in Black Ops 2. So Misty, Russman, Marlton, and the other guy. Those are Victus, by the way. So in order to stop Monty from doing that, they each consumed blood vials from a universe that Monty completely already wiped out of existence. There's some plot holes I can find, but don't think about it too hard. So all of our premise characters drink the blood of Victus, and for some reason Monty can't kill them because they essentially created like a paradox. And after, because he has no way of actually getting rid of them, he can't create his own universe. So he sends them back in time to the beginning at the Great War. And then they do it all over again. That's the story from Black Ops 2 to Black Ops 3. End of Black Ops 3. Questions? It doesn't. We pretend that doesn't exist. Yeah. Yeah. So that's all Sledgehammer stuff. Vanguard technically. Cold War down the road, and NWZ now are part of the story. But we're not there yet. So to go kind of further ahead, to go forward from Black Ops 3, there is this idea of the cycle. Actually, we'll jump back to Black Ops 2. Talk about the developers. During Black Ops 2, there were two like development heads creative producers, whatever you want to call them. One of them was Jason Blundell, who up until Black Ops 4 or like halfway through Black Ops 4 was the creative lead for Zombies. There was this other guy named Jimmy Zielinski. Jimmy wrote the old shit. Jimmy wrote started the writing of World at War to Black Ops 2 and Buried. Um so Jason during Black Ops 2 they like split the development team. They pretty much had two development teams making maps. Jimmy was working on Buried. Well, Die Rise and Buried. Jason was working on Blood of the Dead. Or not Blood of the Dead, Mob of the Dead. Right here. I know. That's a sin. So, in Mob of the Dead, and I know that you've done this Easter egg with me, with Dan, like back in the day, like way back. Obviously, play as four gangsters. Um, and the whole thing is that these gangsters have been dead the entire time and they're stuck in this purgatory. They're stuck in this loop where they die. They go to the Golden Gate Bridge to pack a punch. They die. They respawn at the same place. And they just die and they come back. And it's just over and over and over again. And you do this cycle. Kind of like our main characters from, kind of like Premise. And in the end of that Easter egg, you know how like when you beat it, like you're going in to do your boss fight, and it ends up being like three gangsters versus one gangster. You have to like kill the weasel. So at the end of that, if you all gang up on Weasel and kill him, it says the cycle continues at the end of the Easter egg. However, at the end of, if you do the same thing, but you say Weasel wins, it says the cycle is broken. So I never knew that you could even, like, Weasel could even kill the other characters. I just thought it was, oh, you just gotta shit on Weasel now. Good luck, Weasel. But if Weasel wins that fight, he ends up being, the cycle ends up breaking for Weasel. So he's, like, freed. The entirety of Black Ops 3 and 4 storyline is, like, it mirrors that whole like subplot of Mob of the Dead. Something between Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4 happens that breaks the cycle. There's like a lot of debate about it, about whether or not like Mob of the Dead was happening and that is what broke the cycle, or if I don't, like I said, there's still a lot of debate on what did it. But at some point in one of the cycles, it ends up getting broken, and it's can like as far as canon's concerned, it shows up between Zetsubo Noshima and Gorog Krovi's like when this cycle breaks. So the only person who still has their soul is Nikolai, because everybody else had already harvested all their souls. So Nikolai ends up going on to lead Premise, and then that's when all the maps from Black Ops 4 happen. Not any of the fucking Chaos, Crystal, fucking. I don't know, I like those maps, but. So, like, 9, um, Dead of the Night, Voyage of Despair, and Ancient Evil, like, they don't happen. It's a separate universe, separate story. So he goes to Blood of the Dead, and they defeat the Warden and free that whole, they called it like a pocket dimension was the words they use. And then they go to Classified and they pick up the Ultimus versions of their characters and they team up together. Then they go and they fight at Alpha Omega, which is the Nuketown remake, and then they go to Tag Der Toten and they meet up with Pablo Miranés, who's that hermit at the top of the lighthouse, um, the guy that they saved during the Great War. He builds a device from a bunch of other nerdy shit. I guess the original reason that the boat was there was because they were like transporting an ancient apothecon from like in the skies of Shadows of Evil. And so they used the blood of the apothecon to find a way to destroy the summoning key, which is the object that they were like collecting their souls with. They get it in Morgue City in Shadows of Evil. Black Ops 3. Yes, the volleyball. And after all that, um, they destroy it, and they find out from Nikolai reading the Chronorium that the only way to truly break the cycle and end it all is if they destroy the summoning key and then kill themselves. Because they are the thing that fractured the universe. Their existence is the reason all of this, the words he says is madness is happening. So Nikolai poisons everybody and kills them, and then has Sam shoot him in the back of the head. And what by doing that they closed off the final. Did you watch Loki? Okay. They pruned the last by killing themselves and Nikolai dying. They pruned the last. Um, I don't know what the best word to describe it as. They pruned the last things that were causing corruption in this universe, causing the fractures to occur. Yep. Yeah, they branched off. They branched off and they found that the only way to stop like all the shit from happening was for them to die. So they killed themselves, and pretty much everything that had existed in Black Ops or World at War, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4 got sucked into the dark ether. Except for except for Samantha and Eddie. Eddie and Samantha got transported to the perfect world that Dr. Monty said he was trying to make. And Monty, the Shadow Man, Primus, well, I guess Primus and Ultimus, they're all dead. But like the Victus characters, the Apothecons, the Keepers, they all got sucked into the dark ether. Fast forward a few years, it's Cold War. From there, it gets a lot easier. But go ahead. Maybe not Richtofen. And here's why. So, at the end of Buried, you in canon, like you beat that because it has two sides. You can do the Richtofen side of those Easter eggs, or the Maxis side of those Easter eggs. In canon, Maxis is the winner of Black Ops 2, and he turns Richtofen into a zombie, and then because Richtofen was like sending Victus to go look for all these things. That's in comic books. I've never read it, so I don't know. But he turns Richtofen into a zombie. So in this universe, shortly after all that happened is when Samantha reached through to the Primus universe and started talking to the Primus characters and during Origins. So during there's a lot to really understand here, and even my brain doesn't quite understand all of it. During Black Ops 3, whenever all the characters were harvesting their souls, Richtofen never harvested his soul in the Giant. He did it in a separate dimension to like a child version of himself. So the shared soul between Richtofen, Primus Richtofen, and Ultimus Richtofen is still somewhere out there. They may be dead, but somewhere their soul is. I don't know. So I think if there's one character that can come back, it's Primus Richtofen or Ultimus Richtofen. Sorry, I'm eating a lemon square. I so I disagree, and here's why. I'll start with the good news first. Well, the best of the bad news. One, Activision is not going to let you play as the original characters once they realize that they can sell cosmetic skins. So we're stuck with operators. Two, Jason Blundell was like the creative director of like this whole idea of the cycle. Craig Houston wrote a lot of it, but like he got the inspiration from like all the things that Jason Blundell was telling him to write. Craig wrote a lot of dialogue, a lot of things, but like Jason was the idea man. Craig made it happen. Jason isn't there anymore. And three, this one kind of breaks my heart a little bit, but Tom Kane is the voice actor for not Nikolai, Takio. He unfortunately suffered a massive stroke and lost the ability to like talk. I don't know if I'd want AI. I'm not saying they couldn't use AI to do it. I'm saying should they? I like of the four, I think of the original four, Ultimus. Nikolai's my favorite. Nikolai, playing as Nikolai, but like going back now and hearing some of those Nikolai quotes, dude, very prior to being politically correct. Same with fucking Richtofen said some out of pocket shit, dude. I loved that Dempsey was always breaking the fourth wall. And Takiel was annoying. Yep. Um but of Primus, my favorite is I'm a Richtofen stan. I'm a Richtofen Primus stan. Yeah, so like that is the that is like the short version of the story. Now, inside this book that I had on screen, there is so much, like just little shit that just goes to show how much they cared about trying to like immerse you into the world and like answer all of the questions that we had for years. Well, it's just pure fan service, but there's some interesting stuff in here. Going forward, it's pretty straightforward and narrow. Years down the line, someone finds Noctur and Toten. Turns out there was a German facility under that base. Inside the German facility, there's a cyclotron, which is like a particle accelerator, and the Russians find it and activate it and create an anomaly, which starts bringing like opening um, rifts into the dark ether. So shit is coming out of the dark ether. We have zombies again. Maxis goes in undercover to try to find out what is causing all of it. She works for a group called Requiem. You've played Cold War, so you've probably heard all of this stuff. And a group of generic operators goes in and shuts the cyclotron down at the machine. Then Samantha gets sucked into the dark ether at Firebase Z, and we go and save her. And we fight a big Orda looking thing. And that's about it on that map. And then we go to outbreak happens. And we launch all the fucking missiles into the Pacific Ocean. Yeah, not much going on there. And then Martyr Toten happens. Now that one's actually pretty cool. We have to fight this girl named Valeria who was one of the scientists in this new universe that discovered Ethereum, which is old, like the new term for element 115. So he worked for the Germans during World War II, and he worked at the machine. Well, it's his granddaughter, and she works for the Russians, and she pretty much is using all of his research to like turn herself into like a big Ethereum creature, and essentially wants to go into the dark ether to lead an army of soldiers to take over the world. But really, it's just this other entity known as the Forsaken. Then we get into so we whoop her ass and we end up going into what's the is it the Forsaken? Forsaken is the name of the last zombies map in Cold War. The Chrysalax, yeah, it actually did have a pretty cool wonder weapon. Um, so when the Russians originally found the location, like if you go back and you watch the Cold War trailer, like the reveal trailer, there's like this guy going down into the bunker of D Machine. He ends up getting sucked into the dark ether, and um, he speaks to the Russians in like the 80s, telling them that he knows a way that he can help stop the being that's trying to take over their universe. Turns out he's that being. So we go there and we fight him, and Samantha gets sucked into his belly button, and that's the end of Cold War. And then Vanguard happens, and I have no clue. Now we're set in modern warfare times, and Samantha's still gone, and now that fucking Dr. Jensen is being transformed by the dark ether. It's the same fucking thing. You were saying you were about to ask Ravenoff? It's Ravenoff. Did you see that? I'm sorry. Did you see the voice actor for Raul Menendez died? Yeah. Jesus Christ. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We're gonna end it here. Yeah, dude. Just all of that right there being the story that we're getting now is just sad compared to. I think Maxis will definitely be back, but I think she's gonna be a threat. I don't think she's gonna be an ally because who Rick Toffins? So she spent some time in the Dark Ether and Cold War, right? During Firebase Z, but they never really get into how long she was in there. For reference, the Russian that got sent into the you got sucked into the Dark Ether in like 1942 from the Cold War trailer. He was in there from 1942 to Cold War, so like 40s to the 80s. He was in there for 40 years. And the Dark Ether transformed him and corrupted him to the point that he like started taking out the beings that lived inside the Dark Ether. So like he like devoured is the way they described it. All of the elder gods that lived inside the Dark Ether that like predate Monty, predate the Apothicons, predate the Keepers. He like devoured them. And those are like the gods that you hear in fucking Vanguard, which is we're not even going to talk about. Um so Samantha's now been in there from, let's call it 85 because it's right in the middle. 1985 to 2020 because Modern Warfare Zombies takes place between Modern Warfare 19 and Modern Warfare 22. So she's been in there for about as long as The Forsaken was in there. I'm thinking about it. You know, maybe. However, well, I don't know. I mean, anything's possible. It's fucking Treyarch, dude. Yeah. I just don't think we're ever gonna get this level of detail, this level of storytelling back. Sad. Is it too much? Absolutely. Like what we were getting before is like entirely too difficult to understand. Even for me, who's literally read this book multiple times. But it was better. It's still better than what we're getting now. What we're getting now, like you could give it to like a seventh grader and they could write like a, I don't know, an evaluation on it. Uh-huh. Literally, it sounds like Chat GPT is writing zombies these days. I don't know. Gameplay of it's pretty good right now, but I don't know. Right now it's 12:26. My Wonder Waff won't be on off cooldown till Monday around this time. A little bit, probably PM, not AM, but yeah. Well, that's like I said, wanted to nerd out a little bit. All right, let's talk about your like when it comes to COD Zombies. What are your favorite games to play? Yes. I fucking hate you. Yeah. Yeah. Like Ascension, like Black Ops 1. It was simple. And that's what like a lot of people from back in the day remember, like Ascension, Keynote, um, Moon. And then you have like the weirdos who still think Transit's cool. Like, get out of here, but no, it's not. It is left. Go open Pack a Punch and tell me Transit is good. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's because you need to put a turret here and then run 70 miles in the other direction, get to where you need to go, just to find out that a zombie was sticking out back by your turret, beating the fuck out of it. Now it's broken. Then you have to go the whole way. That's another 70 miles to get another turret, another 70 miles to put it down, and like another 10 miles to get to Pack Punch. It's fucked up. Fuck that map. If you like that map, you're a fucking weirdo. Die Rise is cool. Die Rise is fun. Is it awful? Is it laughably bad? Yes, it is still better than Transit. It's Liquefier, man. That's a redeeming factor. You get to round 100 on that map just with the Sliquifier. If I had to pick a favorite, though, Shadows of Evil. Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's like, I got three on my wall right now. I'd say that my top four are Shadows, Mob, Origins, and Dryzendrock. And any more, Dryzendrock is good. But I think I'd put Call of the Dead in its spot. Like, those are my top five right there. Those are the five that. The top four usually switch in and out, like, as every couple years as to what my favorite is. Is it Origins this week? Is it Shadows? Is it Mob of the Dead? Is it the Rise and Rock? But like Call of the Dead, it just makes the top five. It doesn't make the four-way tie for my favorite map. I know you don't like Call of the Dead. I could never. I never understood why people hated that map. I thought it was really fun, hard but fun. I just like being able to play as Merle from The Walking Dead, Freddy Krueger, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and fucking Machete. Then you have George walking around. Four wonder weapons on one map. That's pretty cool. And it, best perk ever made, Deadshot Daiquiri. The perk isn't useless. Yeah, yeah. If you don't have a controller, though, it's fucking awful. Shut up. Okay, in New Zombies, if you have Deadshot on a controller, does it lock onto the head still? Well, I know that, but like, see, for me, for PC players, keyboard and mouse players, all it does is add the damage multiplier for headshots. Like, you deal bonus damage. That's all it fucking does. And you get the aim lock to the head. Well, that's how I used to play back in the day. Get Oh yeah, let me get Deadshot, and you just fucking aim in with the left button and you fucking hold the trigger down and it just fucking locks all their heads. Yeah. Deadshot, if you think about this kind of crazy. Deadshot was probably how Engine Owning got their aimbot cheats. Fucking Call of Duty developed uh headshot aimbots for Call of Duty Zombies. I don't know, dude. This whole game mode is just one of my favorite modes. It was a mode that should have never even existed. It was just bonus development time during World at War, and it turned into something that I absolutely love and enjoy. And just talking a little bit about it tonight just makes me incredibly nostalgic for like the Black Ops 1, 2, and 3 era, and even a little like I just remember how fucking hyped I was for Black Ops 4 to come out, and then it was a buggy mess, and we got the 9 Gauntlet. I hate that fucking map. I actually am a Dead of the Night lover. Yeah, and vampires. It's not the same. It's not the same universe. It's Call of Duty Zombies, but it's a different universe. Oh, I guess technically it's not, because in Vanguard they mentioned Alistair Rhodes, which is another thing like makes me just want to puke in my own mouth. But yeah. Any questions, comments, concerns? No. Okay. Now I get my little bit of payback from the anime episode. I got to talk your ear off about fucking zombies. I knew nothing about anime. You're right. But hey, you gotta admit I was kind of close on a few of them. I you said about the and you know what? Maybe I'll start Attack on Titan. Just maybe. Is it on Crunch? It's on Crunchyroll, right? Yeah. It's gonna sound so dumb, but whenever I hear usually Japanese animes, whenever I hear them, it's just funny that this is what we were talking about on this. I think of the opening cutscene for Zetsubo no Shima, and Rick Toffin just looks at the captain of that boat and he goes, "I'm sorry, I don't speak Japanese." I was like, "What?" Anytime I hear Japanese anime, that's all I think about. Mm-hmm. All right, man. I think we ought to wrap it here. Good little session. Little bit of just let me bullshit. It's kind of fun. You want to talk about? Do you want to real quick talk about what we want to do for the next one? Because I have no ideas. I have one idea. Walking Dead. Something that we both actually watched a lot of, and we could talk about that for a really long time. I like it too. I'm gonna Coral. We can talk about memes. We can talk about the hype. We can talk about when we quit watching, when we started watching. But we'll save it for the podcast. Thank y'all for listening. If you want to, feel free to follow us both on YouTube. Our socials are Dr. Blunts. I'm Dr. Blunts. This is Vortex Hawkeyes. Um, Check out the Spotify. Yeah, this will be up probably Monday morning, so on New Year's Day. Okay. Yeah. It'll definitely be up on time for the first time in like a week. So yeah, thank you for watching. Please consider liking, subscribing, and maybe leave a comment down there if you want to hear us talk about something or if you have a topic for us.